Good morning, fam. Man, do we have some things to talk about.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Find somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Woo-hoo! We got some things to talk about today. We're going to get into it. First and foremost, as you noticed, there was no real warm up, music, background music, and, background, letting you guys chat it up in the chat and all that stuff. We're just jumping right into it today, okay? Because there are some things that are popping off that are just absolutely insane. Few things first. We got to jump into the main topic first, and then we're going to talk about a few things a little bit later on after we cover what we need to cover, because there's a lot going on in this particular case. Let me just say this. Foul play may be afoot. Reason why I say that is because there's a lot of new information that's coming out revolving around this Nolan Wells case. So yes, we are going to be, we won't be going multi-realm that hard. We won't be going hard in the paint of Lord of the Rings in it, but we are going to be covering some serious stuff that's going on. Two major things. I just did a short. If you didn't see about that, we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. I just did a short. I don't even know how long ago, maybe 30 minutes ago, revolving around footage that just came out of inside the Cider's house of horrors. We're going to be talking about that much later on in this show. All right? We're going to get straight into this because there's some things that are going on right now as we speak in the Nolan Wells case, and we need to have that conversation. So please do me a favor. Before we get into everything, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms, like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, I'm on all of them. Make sure you hit that follow button on my social media, on Facebook and all that, okay? Follow. All right? Please and thank you. Please hit that subscribe button right here on my YouTube channel. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips, subscribe over there. Hit that notification bell on both channels so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because honestly, it is random. It is. Hit that join button down below, become a member, check out my Patreon, and of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com, we got some really great stuff over there. Go check it out, PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. Wow. We got some things to get into. I forgot to open up the chat. Hold on, let me make sure the chat is up and running so we can get up to this conversation. Don't worry, I seen it all. The parents have been out her. The parents have been out her for show, okay? I already saw all the interviews. There's a press conference happening right now as we speak about revolving around Nolan Wells. They have been making their rounds today. They were on Good Morning America. They were on CBS Good Morning, or whatever the show is today, or whatever they call it on CBS. Okay, they've been on all kinds of media. And now there is a press conference that's going on right now. But here's the thing. I need to make this abundantly clear real quick before we go into all of this stuff here, okay? If you guys don't know about the Nolan Wells case, this young man, 18 years old, went to party. He just went to party at this island called Horn Island. It's like this little stretch of land, a little stretch of island. There's not much vegetation on there, but people go there to kick it, have a great time, blah, 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 do what they do what they do to go kick it. on 4th of July or, any holiday that you have during the summer. Anyway, he went there with a bunch of his friends. They took a boat out there from the mainland out to this island. They were kicking it. They were having a great time from what we gathered. Then something happened. Allegedly, something happened. This is what we're hearing from the family and from attorney Benjamin Crump. If you don't know about Benjamin Crump, he has been a part of some massively huge headlines, okay? Massively huge cases and all that, all right? And in this particular situation, he's hopped on and he is basically saying he has unearthed a lot of information that just doesn't make any sense. Now, here's the thing. For those of y'all who don't know anything about this case, let me just keep it a bean with y'all. We're just going to address the elephant in the room, because it's always that whenever you have someone that may not look like everybody else, meaning this kid is black and he was hanging out with a bunch of white kids, white people. People have been very quick to jump on the race bandwagon and say that these white people did this black kid wrong. Now, one thing is for sure, I don't see this being about race. I see this potentially, because I'm still side-eyeing the situation for sure, but I'm not side-eyeing it because of the color of his skin. I'm looking at this as right and wrong, not black and white, okay? So now we got a situation where these kids may have done this guy dirty. And I don't think it is with malice because of the color of his skin. I think it's with malice because they did something bad and they're trying to cover it up. That's what I truly think. Let me just say this too. Until we actually get full facts, and until we actually see truth behind that, like they did it maliciously because of the color of his skin, or there's a history of one of the kids being like, I hate black people, or something crazy like that, right? I'm not going to jump down that rabbit hole that quickly and say, oh, this has to do about race. But we do have to address that, yes, this is a black kid in an all-white event. There may have been a sprinkling of other black kids or black people at that event, but he was one of not so many at this event. So now that we got that out the way, Benjamin Crump has jumped in. He is speaking about this. He is trying to get the truth out. There has been a lot that's been going on revolving around this case because what Benjamin Crump has unearthed is very crazy. And I will say this too. Let me repeat this real quick. It has nothing to do with race. Zero. It's just facts. And those facts are colorblind and they are weird. They are weird, y'all. I'm just going to keep it a bean. It's weird. And if this was a group of black people and this was a white boy that lost his life, yes, of course, there'd still be race involved, obviously, right? But I'd still be saying, or that discussion about possibility of racism, that kind of thing, I get that part. But the fact that we have facts that don't make any earthly sense goes beyond race. It goes beyond the color of his skin, because apparently some of these kids that he went on this boat with to this island, he has known since he was a kid. He grew up with some of these kids, played little league, sports with some of these kids, knew these kids very, very well. They were friends to this kid. So again, like I said, bad things have happened. And it may not have anything to do with race. But still, here's the thing. I'm not leaving it off the table. I'm putting it right over here on the side of the table real quick. Okay? I'm putting it right over here. Before we jump into those, before we jump to conclusions, let's just put it over here as a possibility. But for right now, let's look at the facts. And according to Benjamin Crump, he is saying a series of different things. One, he's saying there's a contradiction in the stories that are being told by his friends that were on the boat and the girl he was trying to holler at that apparently he went off to talk to. There's also, and we'll get into that in a second. There's also, according to Benjamin Crump, he says that there is, he allegedly says that there's a video of some sort of yelling match, like somebody screaming, which they say is Nolan Wells screaming at somebody about him trying to get his phone back, okay? That is also very strange, all right? So you have that going on as well. Hold on, sorry guys, I want to make sure I have that. Because they have been hitting it hard out here in these streets, okay? They've been hitting it hard. So we got a few things we got to look at, all right? Apparently, and here's the thing, Miss Udi, I have not seen the video or heard the video of him actually yelling at somebody saying, like, give me my phone back. Give my what the F? Give me my effing phone back. I have not heard it. I've seen... They showed another video of people, like the phone scanning the area of what it looked like, what the island looked like and everything. And you could hear some yelling, but I couldn't make out what that yelling was. All right. But let me just make this abundantly clear. He apparently on camera, on video, is captured on video where he is literally going off on somebody, talking about wanting to get his phone back. So there's that. Then also, here's the other piece. He was found in an ocean. He was found out there by the northwest side of Horn Island without his cell phone. In fact, his cell phone was on the boat with his friends. And there's new information out here that's even making it even more strange. His phone was on the boat with him, with his friends. Apparently he handed them his phone. He also handed them his clothes that he was wearing, the shirt off his back, and get this, his keys. Hold on. Hear me out now. I just heard that new piece of information, and that doesn't make any sense. Because if you're telling me, if I have no plans on getting on that boat where my belongings are, and I'm just going to go hitch a ride, son's keys, son's phone, son's shirt, you got another thing coming. I must be out my damn mind. Or somebody's not telling the mother-loving truth. We also understand, or we also find out, that apparently because of the parents using Life 360 on their sons to track their son's phone, that's how they were able to actually obtain the phone from the friends. Because they were accessing Life 360, they did the reverse math, they were able to track it down, and that's when the friends were like, oh, here's all of his stuff. Here's his keys, his clothes. Oh, yeah, here's the cell phone that you were tracking down. And then that's when they realized that things were deleted off the mother-loving phone. So make that make sense. Here's the other thing. Let's talk about this. All right? And I've talked about this in a short, but let's talk about it. There's also two conflicting stories going on at the same time. The friends on the boat are saying that Nolan went off to go and try to talk to a girl. Don't know if he was out here, trying to be like, hey, what's up? I don't know if he was trying to holler or he went over there to calm down after this fight, this argument that he was having. Maybe he went over there. You see what I'm saying? Maybe he went over there then she was like, let me calm him down. Come here, man. Come here. Nolan, come here. Come talk with me. It's all good. Chill, right? Maybe that was what it was. Or maybe he was trying to holler at the girl. I don't know. But one thing is for sure. She says that this kid, Nolan, said to her that he was planning on going back onto that boat. He was heading back over to that boat, but apparently he never made it. But here's the thing. His friends say, oh, no. Oh, no. That is not the truth. He said he was going to go hitch a ride with somebody else. And he went to go talk to her. And he was allegedly going to, I guess, hitch a ride with her or some other friends. But in my mind, I'm like, what other friends? You were the friends that he was on the ride with and on this boat trip with. Where were his other friends that had other boats? Because if that is true, then may those other friends that own another boat speak out right now, or let justice reign upon them with a vengeance, because that doesn't make any sense. You see what I'm saying? Let me just say this again. Why would anyone forget the phone? Because some of y'all were trying to, because I read some of the comments and everything, you know, and some people are like, why would he need his phone if there's no cell phone service in that area? Man, people are so dumb. And I'm like, wait a second. You can still use the phone to capture moments, to take photos and save them for later, to film video. Man, this was lit. I had a great time. Look at all these fine ass girls. Woo, I'm having a great time. Living my life. I'm 18. I'm young. Woo, I'm drinking. We're having a great time. Look at all these fireworks or whatever, however long you stay there for, right? You're going to, maybe you don't have service, great cell phone service, but you're at least going to use your phone to document a great moment in your life, right? So let's talk about that. One thing. Why would you leave your phone behind? Let's just start there. My phone is always with me. It's right here. For the most part, right? I try to distance myself from it from time to time just to, declutter my brain and get away, turn my brain off, get off the grid for a moment or two, because sometimes it gets a little aggravating. But other than that, it's like a fifth limb, right? It's kind of like that for all of us, right? Let's just start there. Let's not talk about the other two pieces just yet. You're out there. You're having a great time. You're in an area that you've never been before. You're 18 years old. And from my understanding, this young man was a good, a good kid to his parents too, and would keep in contact with his family no matter what. It wasn't some rebel being like, no, Ma, you're making me look soft, Ma, when I have to text you and tell you I'm doing okay or no. Man, Ma, you make me look soft. He don't do that. He's a good kid, from what the parents have said. Regardless, he left that phone on the boat. There's that. Then he left his clothing, articles of clothing, on the mother-loving boat. Why would you do that? What are the chances of you not being at the same pier when he rides? Let's just say he was going to ride with the girl or ride with another group of friends on another boat. How do you know that they're going to pull up to the same pier? How is he going to be able to rendezvous with his friend to get his clothing? Oh, there's no way he could. You want to know why? Because his phone was on the mother-loving boat, y'all. Yeah. Oh, let's not forget the most important piece. Forget the phone. Forget the articles of clothing that he left behind on the boat. Let's talk about the mother-loving keys. How you going to get home? You didn't drive his ass to the pier or to a rendezvous point to meet up with his friends, to get on the boat, to sail or boat or drive they asses over to Horn Island? So how is he going to get back in his car if he drove? How's he going to get back into his house? Oh, he can't. Oh, yeah, he could do that. He could call somebody. Oh, no, he can't, because the phone was on the mother-loving boat. Do you understand? Is everybody now computing with what I'm saying? Articles of clothing, keys, etc. Gone. On the mother-loving boat. Not on his person. Not with the girl that he was chopping it up with. No. On the boat with his friends. So, to me, that gives me the vibe that he was planning on going back to that boat to sail or drive or boat back over to the mainland. And there's nothing else you could tell me otherwise. So let me just say this. Something sus is mother-loving going on. Something rotten is in Denmark. So here's the thing. I do want to play this interview. Okay, this is from a day or two ago with Benjamin Crump. There is a press conference that basically just wrapped, if I'm correct. We're going to be looking at that here in a second. All right. But I do want to hear a little bit of this. Like I said, the math ain't mathin'. The timeline that they've been giving is not timelining. Something rotten is going on. And no, if there was some outside force that did something nefarious to this young man, and it had something to do with his race, then we will talk about it. But if there's no proof of that right now, we are just looking at a young man that may have had something terrible happen to him. And that possibly the friends on that boat are hiding something. And that's it. You got to remember, some of these kids knew him from when they were kids. They were friends. So what the F is going on here? Really? And there's a mom now speaking out who happens to be a judge in that town, now trying to speak up like on behalf of her son and all that. And it's kind of like, we'll see. His family now is running an independent autopsy right now. Colin Kaepernick swooped in and paid for his body to be transported out of state so that they can do their own investigation into what actually happened to him and see what's in his body, what caused his demise, etc. as well. This is a crazy story. This is a crazy situation, but I'm telling you right now, from what they have said so far, from what we have gathered so far, the math ain't mathin', y'all. It's just sus as hell. Let's take a listen, and then we're going to jump right over to that press conference after this.
Attorney Ben Crump, who's representing Nolan Wells' family. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Crump. Just from where you sit, what are the biggest unanswered questions so far about this case?
Obviously, the biggest question is what happened to Nolan Wells. I think the reason this case has caught such fire is because they see the pictures, they see the video, and they're saying, hold on, you're trying to tell us just accept this an accident and sweep it under the rug? His mother, Christine, his father, Elmo, say, no, they will not allow that to happen. His friends, his community. I mean, he was a good kid. He was beloved. He was a college athlete. He had everything going for him. And so to go on that island for 4th of July celebration and then not to come back is what is concerning everybody, especially when you hear the contradictions.
And you're conducting your own investigation. How will that differ from what the authorities are doing?
Well, one thing, we're trying to be very transparent because the family has some concerns about the state of Mississippi doing an investigation of the death of a young black man where young white students may be looked at as having some culpability. So the family is concerned about that. So we're going to have an independent autopsy. We have investigators talking to witnesses that have no alignment or no allegiance to the state. And that's important, Lindsay. When you think about Mississippi and the history of Mississippi, you know, this is the state where Emmett Till was lynched.
You mentioned earlier there are some contradictions.
Yes.
What gives you confidence or perhaps concern about the investigation so far?
Well, the fact that they continue to tell the family that we don't see any evidence of any foul play, even though you have students who recorded an altercation while they were on the boats of argument where you had Nolan and somebody yelling at one another on the boat. So that's an issue. And then you have the young lady make a statement and she says, well, Nolan and I finished talking and Nolan said he was going back to the boat. And then the boys on the boat said, no, Nolan told them he was going to stay with her. And so they are conflicting. She's saying he went and got.
So there it is, right there. You got two conflicting stories. One side is saying, no, he was going to go take the boat with the fam or with the girl. Girl's saying, no, he said he's going back to the boat to ride the boat with the friends. So make that make sense, right? I mean, need I say more?
Out on the boat. They saying he didn't get on the boat. So which is it? And all we know is Nolan is dead.
The Wells family, Nolan's parents, how are they coping in this moment?
Okay, so we already know, like, you know, how they coping in this moment. We're about to see like a slew of interviews done by them. But I do want to get to this press conference. You have the likes of Al Sharpton. You got the likes of all kinds of people coming forward and speaking on behalf of this situation because this is how this kid lost his life is strange. And here's the other thing too. It's not like he went to an area, jumped in the water and got, you know, and then he succumbed to water and no one could see it because there were like a lot of vegetation, a lot of trees and bushes and all that stuff in the way. No, there was low vegetation. You know, it's almost like grass, but sand, and then just like a little bit of vegetation on the ground. No trees, no bushes, nothing that would actually, you know, block being able to see anybody. You see what I'm saying? So again, it's just crazy, right? Now, some commentary, reprimanda. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Some commentary saying it's totally normal to leave your phone behind when you're going out on the water. And I get that. That part I get. Seriously, I get it. But at the same time, he left everything to his friends. He didn't put it on the beach. He didn't put it on the shore, wrapped up in his clothes or anything like that so he can have easy access to it. No, he left his stuff on the boat with his friends. And they're saying that he had no plans on coming back to that boat to go back to the mainland. That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. Sure, he may have left his phone on the boat when he was going back and forth, to the shore and back to the boat. Okay, fine. That's still very possible. But at the same time, all of his stuff was there. And if he was planning on going somewhere else, he would have gone and taken that stuff with him, put it on the shore or put it on his person and went and talked to the girl. And then maybe, you know, did one of these things in the water, holding all of his valuables in his hands like this above the water. Because it's not like where they were was, it's not like they were going, it wasn't like they were too deep, too far away from the shore that you couldn't walk and maybe get up to chest high, if that makes any sense. So again, I don't know about you, but like for me, I'm like, I'm not leaving my phone unless I know for a fact I'm getting my ass back on that boat very, very soon. You see what I'm saying? Again, that's that phone being on that boat instantly tethers you. You see what I'm saying? There's an invisible tether that connects you to your phone, to your belongings, to your keys, your wallet, your identification, your money, your wallet, all that stuff, all of his articles of clothing were on that boat. So he's instantly tethered to that boat. That would be his point of origin, because that's where all of his stuff is. All of his necessities right there. Forget the phone. Put the phone off to the side. The fact that his keys, his belongings, his clothing, all on that boat, seems weird that he would be like, yeah, go ahead, take the boat. We good. You know what I mean? And yes, we'll wait. Hello, Howie, on Kick. We'll wait for the toxicology report. But at the same time, if he was drowning, how would no one see that? I find that a little bit strange too. So let's take a look at this press conference. We got a lot of interviews from the parents. They've been out They've been hitting the ground hard. Okay, they hit the ground running, y'all, with this and trying to bring awareness to this case. But we're gonna look at this first, okay? Because this morning they did their circuit. You know what I mean? They just kind of went around and talked to various news junkets, news outlets, and then they did this press conference. So we're going to do things a little bit backwards for right now. We're going to get to the press conference now and see what's popping.
Good afternoon. To my right are the parents of Nolan Wells, and we'll hear from them, and of course, attorney of Black America, Ben Crump, and attorney Park, you'll hear from. I want to let me say at the outset that when I received the word of what happened to Nolan and began hearing what was pieced together, it is clear that this situation must have the most thorough and objective investigation to lead to justice. What we've been told does not make sense. And being that there is lack of confidence in the local authorities, who have already, in my judgment, seemed to have mishandled where it was going. Because to just immediately, before a week time, saying there was nothing done wrong, when we hear that this young man was engaged in some kind of argument that was on tape, that his cell phone and keys ended up with one of the people that were there on the island and got away. He was one black with 3 young white men who happened to end up with his phone, happened to end up with his keys. Then there's just too many questions that they should not be closing the investigation.
You heard it right there. Al Sharpton just said his phone, his keys, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Like I said, if he was not planning on going back to that boat, his keys, his cell phone, I'm sure his wallet, you know what I mean? Your personal belongings are on the boat. Why would he not go back to that boat after he talked to the girl? Just saying.
Now, I'm from Brooklyn, so I'm a little different than some of y'all. I was built different. My nose is out here, my eyes are here, my brain is here, which means some things I could smell before I could see and before I can figure out. This does not smell right. So some people are saying, Reverend, are y'all bringing in race? Well, we're not bringing in race, but we're not discounting race either, because we don't know what it is. So to tell us don't rush to judgment saying it was racist is fine. But then I'm telling you, don't rush to judgment saying it was not racism, because we do not know. We do know what these parents are being told, and what the parents have now shared with us does not make sense. How do you end up a young, promising football player, not in trouble, mother and daddy at home, everything we tell him to do and be, they go on the 4th of July, on the anniversary of this country, going to an island, we're outing with his friends, and the friends come back, and he's left there with some story about he said leave them behind. But then by some magic, one of the friends has his keys and his phone. Mind you, his mother tracked down the phone. They didn't voluntarily tell her they had his phone. They didn't voluntarily say they had the keys. So if they had not been tracked down, we don't know if they ever would have known where it was. Some of this doesn't make sense. So we are absolutely in National Action Network and other groups going to rally behind this family. I have told them that whatever we can and need to do, we will do it because this smacks of some of the worst fears that we've had historically, not only in Mississippi, but in this country. And we are there until the end with them. I've been asked by the family to be in Mississippi for the funeral to officiate, which I'm going to do. We just got off the phone with Tyler Perry, the actor who says he wants to help cover whatever expenses for the funeral. We have with us Spike Lee is in the house. Many of our people that have always supported families are there. This is not about them trying to raise money. We're going to take care of that. This is about, though, they got to keep going forward. But we want justice. And let the chips fall where they may. If it ends up being one way that we suspect was wrong, fine. But if it's another way, don't back up and play games with this. They are not activists or lawyers. So they only want justice for their son. I'm an activist. When we get there and they say we heating things up, that's what we do. Because sometimes you got to make people sweat to get the poison out their system. I'm the sweat man. And they are the parents that want to see justice for their son. Let me let you hear from Christine and Elmer Wansley and then Attorney Crump. Let them. Yeah. Oh, okay, Attorney Crump, and then we'll hear from the parent.
Okay. Thanks, Rev. Y'all can come on up with Rev and us. We can all be together. Thank you, Reverend Al, for always answering the bell, as you have done on so many occasions when families get the worst news of their life. And make no mistake about it, Christine and Elmo got the worst news of their life on what was supposed to be a joyous occasion where everybody was celebrating the 4th of July weekend. I'm Attorney Ben Crumpet, along with Attorney Lisa Park and Jared Presson and Camila Moore. We have the honor and the privilege of helping to lead an independent investigation on behalf of the family of Nolan Wells. Why do you say we need to be retained to lead an independent investigation? It is because the family has distrust of the Mississippi law enforcement officials giving them a fair investigation where their black son ended up dead after going out on a boat with 3 young white men. The history of Mississippi is something that they don't just read about in books, but it's a lived experience for many black Americans that oftentimes when our children are killed in highly questionable situations, that there is this notion that, oh, it was nothing wrong, no foul play, let's just sweep it under the rug. Well, we refuse to sweep it under the rug. We refuse to just let Nolan Wells' death be in vain. We are going to make sure that we get to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because Nolan deserves it. You're going to hear his mother and father talk about what a wonderful young man he was. I mean, doing everything right. Reverend Al, he was not only a college student, he was a great athlete. He was a model big brother for his brothers and little brothers and sisters, and he was a great son who was on the cusp of becoming a man. I mean, Christine and Elmore did everything to prepare him for this moment. He was so close. He was right there. You're going to hear his father talk about him had a good football season last year, but this season he was really ready to go to the next level, to go to Division I. I mean, the highlights that you're seeing on social media of his athletic prowess, I mean, it is all relevant, because when you start talking about drowning, I mean, this is a kid who knew how to swim. This is a kid who was in tip-top shape. He was a superior athlete. And so I'm going to get to that in a moment, these glaring contradictions, but to try to say, oh, we're suggesting it was just an accident or drowning, go ahead and move on. Well, they are not accepting it. They are not accepting it. They want to know that you have not taken the path of least resistance, that you have done a full, complete, thorough, impartial investigation, because it cannot be lost on anybody, but especially us in the black community. If the roles were reversed and you had 3 young black men on a boat with a young white man, and that young white man ended up dead, what kind of investigation would be being conducted by the Mississippi law enforcement officials? How many times would those 3 young black men be interrogated? So all we're asking is the same consideration you would have given if the roles were reversed. Give that consideration to this family as well. That is our fight. The glaring contradictions just jump out at you. The fact that he is there with his friends, and you look at all the videos, it seems to be he's the only black on the island, or maybe one other, but not many. And so, Jared, you have where a young woman he was talking to says that, well, Nolan said he was going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys say that Nolan told them he was going to stay and talk to the young woman. It's a contradiction. They're not saying the same thing. One of them is telling the truth, one of them is not. We have to get to the bottom of that. It's important. And then the fact, Reverend Al, that they have this video of an argument that is going on. And you know, thank God all young people, they have cell phones, and anytime you hear people raising their voice, they start the video. And so you hear on the video Nolan saying, "Give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?" And that becomes even more relevant when you think about the story that they are presenting, that Nolan chose to stay behind. That's what they're saying. But his phone, he wouldn't take that with him if he's going to stay behind on an island. I mean, we're talking about an 18-year-old kid. What teenager would leave their phone behind if they're going to stay on this island? What teenager wouldn't take their phone? And so it's not adding up. It's not adding up at all. The fact, as Reverend Al said, you know, they then take his phone with them. His mother, when she finds out that her baby is missing, they start trying to track the phone. The GPS the phone, they've used Life 360, and they discover that, well, the phone is on land. The phone is on land, but you're saying he went missing on the island. And so it's not adding up. And so they go get the phone, and you hear her tell herself, when her and her sister start going through his phone, Jared, they realize that there are deleted messages, so they're trying to figure out, well, why are there deleted messages on his phone?
Okay. So again, make it make sense that you got them going out of their way to get the phone. Guys, it doesn't make any sense. Why? We're going to continue. Don't worry. We're going to let them cook here in this press conference. But at the same time, why would they go out of their way? Why would the family have to go out of their way to get their kid's phone when the kid was already missing at that point? You realize that that's weird, right? They had to go get his belongings from one of the kids. Why didn't the kid just go over there and drop off the phone a long time ago when he was initially reported missing? Like I said, does that make sense to you or no? See, here's the thing. It could be an innocent thing where the kid just didn't know what to do. You know, kids can be not thoughtful. Kids can be dumb. I'm sorry. I got to use the word dumb. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do it like that, but sometimes kids make very, idiotic, naive, ignorant choices because they're young and they don't think, right? Sure, we can leave that on the table. Fine. But you can't tell me that ain't suspect as hell. You can't tell me that's not suspicious as hell. They had to go get the phone. Then after that, phone messages are deleted. Things on his Snapchat gone, deleted. That doesn't make any sense. Why would that happen? Like I said, this could very well be a misunderstanding, but I'm sorry. All of it sounds sus as hell.
I mean, it becomes relevant when you start putting everything together where we can't just say, oh, there's no instance of foul play. We're going to get to the truth one way or the other. The fact that, and this really makes no sense to me, Reverend Al, this notion that, well, he drowned, y'all have, I'm sure, seen all the videos out there. I mean, if he's drowning, nobody sees him drown, nobody offers assistance, nobody tries to help him.
That is another piece that I find very weird. If he did succumb to water, why wasn't there anybody coming in to be like, yo, there's a kid over there, he's drowning? Why wasn't there anybody saying anything like that? That doesn't make any sense. You realize that that's weird, right? Please tell me I'm not the only one that looks at this and says, this is weird. It's not like he was, like I said earlier, it's not like he was behind a whole bunch of trees and there was a huge area of land on this island that was just covered in trees and bushes and in vegetation. No, you could see clear over to the other side of the island. That's how low the vegetation was. If there was any vegetation, it's sparse vegetation. No trees, no palm trees, no nothing. Just sand and a tiny bit of greenery. That's it. So if he was struggling at any point in time, why didn't anybody see that? I find that weird. And then here's the other thing too. Here's the thing that I would love to get answered by the girl that he was apparently talking to, whether it was he was getting calmed down by the girl or he was trying to holler at the girl or if they went off to go, smoke or something like that, whatever. I don't know. But one thing I want to know is what direction did he walk? when he said, after she claims he said that he was going back to the boat. Did he walk towards the boat? Did he walk across to the other side of the island? Because the island's very skinny. It's a skinny strip of land. Okay? Did he decide to walk over on the other side? Maybe he wanted to cool off. Like I said, when he went to go talk to this girl, apparently before that, there was an argument on the boat. If we got that timeline right. So did she take him away from them, from the boat, to calm him down? Like, you good? Okay, I understand. Things are weird, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's been drinking. We're having a great time. Are you cool? Yeah, I'm cool. I'm fine. Where are you going now? Yeah, I'm going back. Okay? I'm going back to the boat. Okay. All right. Well then, Nolan, I'll see you later. That kind of thing. Did he walk towards the boat? Or did he walk somewhere else? Did he go, nah, man, I'll be going back to the boat in a second. I just need a second to cool off, right? And she's like, okay. And he just starts walking towards the water or walking somewhere else. What happened here? What direction did he walk towards? Because if this storyline, if the timeline is right, he didn't get back on that boat. But there's other timelines that are saying that he did get back on that boat. So like I said, the kids aren't talking. Parents are stepping forward and trying to speak on these kids' behalf. Again, let me get that really quick. Hold on. There's a comment here, and I appreciate the comment. J. Marie. Okay, Pascal, there's also no cell service at all on the island. You have to go back to land to even call, for anyone to call 911. So let me just say this. I get that. But I'm telling you right now, people still will record moments on their phones. They don't have to upload it to their IG story or to their TikToks or to their Instagrams or their YouTubes. You know what I mean? All they have to do is film and save it for later. People do that all the time. People would be like, late post about yesterday. Yesterday was lit. Yesterday was a mother-loving movie, bro. Take a look at this. And it's all like a compilation of all the videos that they shot and held onto, and then they cut it, and then they post it, right? Later, when they have cell phone service. So again, the part about no cell phone service in that area doesn't work for me. Because again, people take photos and pictures all the time on their phones. Still hold on to their phones because you never know. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. Look at this. Selfie, guys. Selfie time. There's plenty of that. Plenty of that. Hey, bro, let's take a photo. You and me. You know what I mean? We're all, YOLO, man. We only young once, man. You know what I'm saying? So there's plenty of that. Plenty of people taking photos, kicking it and having a great time. So again, cell phone service, fine. Couldn't make a phone call until after they got on the boat or got onto mainland. But here's the thing, though. After they got onto mainland, that's when they started making the phone calls, letting people know that he has not returned. But what's weird about this is that they didn't even bother to give the cell phone keys, his belongings, back to his parents. They had to hunt it down. They had to hunt down the phone and his belongings from the kid who actually had the cell phone and the belongings. You see what I'm saying? The math ain't mathing, y'all. The math ain't Trust me, I'd rather say, yo, this kid made a mistake. The mistake happened. He lost his life. I would say that easily if the storyline was consistent. But the storyline is not consistent at all. At all, y'all.
I mean, obviously, he stands out. I think, the only black person I saw when I'm looking at the videos. And if you see him drowning, you mean nobody?
There were other black kids there, too. There were other black people there. But obviously, there were still a minority within the event. There was like 2 or 3 other ones, but it wasn't like a treasure trove of black people, right? There was majority white people, few black people, very few. From the video I saw, very, very minimal, okay? Minimal black people, okay? But he wasn't the only black guy there.
Is going to try to help them. It's not adding up. It is not adding up. And that's why the family, at their behest, we had an independent autopsy being performed. And we thank Colin Kaepernick for helping to pay for that independent autopsy. And we thank Tyler Perry for helping to pay for the funeral, because as Reverend Al said, these were just regular parents going about their life. They weren't expecting any of this. And then we're having to try to hire all these experts to be able to go and see if they can retrieve deleted messages. We have to have experts. You'll hear from Attorney Park talk about, where the body was found when it was recovered and how long it took to be recovered. We think all of those are relevant issues to trying to understand what really happened to Nolan Wells. And this independent autopsy is so very important because we had his body flown from Mississippi to Washington, D.C., because his family wanted to make sure that they had a doctor who had no ties to Mississippi law enforcement to do an independent examination of their son's body. And we are hopeful to get that results in the very near future. We were hoping we would have had it today. However, as you all know, here in New York, they canceled all the flights yesterday, and so it took a long time for his body to get to the medical examiner's office in Washington, D.C. But rest assured, as soon as we get those results, we will make them known to you, because we believe transparency is very important. We want to lead by example. We want them to be transparent, and we want to be transparent. We know they conducted an autopsy. We are waiting on their results as well.
That is a very good question, the one King David. Question, Pascal. Do they know when the boys arrived back to land, as in late evening or night or still day? That's something I don't know. I'm going to look it up and see if there's any updates about that, but I have not heard anything about that. But let's continue. But that is a very good question. All I know is that it was like around 3 o'clock when all this stuff went down. And I mean, that's, sun is out, the sun is definitely out, 3 p.m. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming it was about maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours after that they returned back to the mainland. But I'll have to see.
The final thing I will say is this. If there are any people on that island, any young people who recorded videos, who witnessed things, who may have saw Nolan at any time on that island, please, please, please let us know. Please call bencrump.com, call the 800 number, just any information. They are desperate. We're in a ferocious pursuit for the truth. And y'all, if it was your child, wouldn't you want everybody who knew something to let you all know? This is a hard one, Rhea, because it's so tragic on so many levels. Rhea, before we bring the parents up, why don't we have Attorney Lisa Park, who is helping head up the investigation with our office.
My name is Lisa Park. I'm the senior attorney for the Ben Crump Law Office in Atlanta. It is our honor to work with the family to try to find answers in this case. I think that most of you at this point are aware of Ben Crump law and many of the cases that we represent in this country. Some of these cases you don't know anything about until we get involved and we shed some light and we explain to the media what has happened, and you all let America know what has happened. Mm-hmm. Sometimes cases come and you all already know about it. This is one of those cases. Yeah. I saw this in the news before I got a call from Ben. This was already huge in social media, already out in general media. Why? Why? Because it doesn't take an attorney. It doesn't take a special investigator. It doesn't take someone with extreme training to know right off there's something wrong here. This is, as Ben has put it, not adding up. It is so obvious. There are so many people in this country that go missing, right? Everybody knows this. But this case has captured everybody's attention. Think about why. You know that something is not right. It doesn't take us. It doesn't take the Reverend Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, to tell you and then think, oh, now I know something's wrong. We know something is wrong. Mm-hmm. And for every single person that was in Horn Island, and we know there's about 200 people, there's a lot of people, and we know that Horn Island is a popular place during the holidays. It's a popular place on the weekends. You have to get there by boat. It's the only way to get there. You have to leave by boat. Mm-hmm. It's the only way to leave. So many people out there. Mm-hmm. If you are watching this, if you see this, and you are struggling about what to say or what to do, you know what the right thing to do is. Mm-hmm. Call Ben Crump Law. There's this thing called the internet. It's very easy to find that number. Call us. We have an entire call center. They're waiting to hear from you. If you didn't go to Horn Island, but you've heard something, because people are talking. They're talking with each other. They may not be calling the police. They may not be calling us. But you heard something. We need to know that. We need to know that. In America today, so many of us, we want to believe that the last several decades we've made so much progress in our race relations, don't we? We want to believe that. Whether you're black or you're white or you're Asian, that's what we want to believe. We wanted to believe that this past 4th of July when we celebrated 250 years, right? If you want to believe that, you've got to be part of the solution. You've got to be part of that. You have to make it happen. And if you have information, please call us. It is incredibly important. People out there, you have answers. You may not know exactly what your information means, but if you saw something, say something, please.
Anything about the time? Okay. We're taking a question and answer.
All right, we're going to hear from the parents, and then we'll have Q&A. And what I want is, when we go to the media, identify yourself and your outlet so we know who is speaking. And let me say again that we're standing with this family till the very end and make sure we're dealing with justice. Let's first hear from the mother, Christine Wansley.
First of all, I want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. this is not how I wanted the world to meet my son, but here we are. So, as you know, I'm Christine Wells Wansley. I am Nolan Wells's mom. And Nolan is the kindest soul. He never met a stranger. He loved everybody. He didn't care if you were black, white, purple, green, looked like a marshmallow. Like, he just wanted everyone to be in peace with one another. He loved life, and God gave him this big heart, which always scared us. Me and his dad had conversations with him all the time, not just about the importance of understanding our history as black people, but also the importance of how you have to move in certain spaces. And it's not us being, feeding into racism or the stereotypes that comes with that. Unfortunately, that is just a matter of fact. There have been many cases, many instances that shows it's unfortunately a pattern that he did not like. He did not like that there was so much division, and I think that's why God gave him us. He was really a peacemaker. He wanted, like I said, everyone to be included. He never wanted to leave anyone out. He just, even at a young age, I don't know, he was, how old was he?
18.
No, not 18. When he was a baby, he did a little dance. So his father and I were having a moment, and as couples do, and even in that moment, he runs in the room with his diaper on, of course, and he starts dancing, because it was like he could feel the tension. He could feel that something wasn't right. So he was just a special kid. Like, he was a special kid, but again, just heart was so big. And we're gonna miss him dearly. But we are grateful, especially to our friend Tashima, who actually was one of the people who helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone from where it was, and then provided that to us, because we of course contacted authorities to figure out who to do the report with, whether it was the county or the city, which then turned into DMR, who I contacted immediately from there. But.
Can you tell them how you got the cell phone?
So our friend actually, when I called her, Nolan is best friends with her two sons, Jalen and Javon. When I called her, I said, Tashima, have you seen Nolan? He's missing. No one has seen him. No one has talked to him. The boys were actually with her sons. So they opened up their Snapchat, because a lot of the kids do have their locations where they're tracking one another. So one of the boys says, well, it's showing that, I can't exactly remember what his location was showing, but my Life 360 location was showing something completely different. It was actually showing that his phone was like he was on land. And so we ended up, she received the phone from that parent, and then we met up where his car was, which was at a separate location. There were issues obtaining the key, but even so, there was just a lot of...
Tell them about what happened with the keys.
So I'm gonna let my husband tell you about that, because he actually went up to the door to get the key, because at that point, I was just not in my right mind. This has just been an awful situation.
I don't blame him.
Just terrible.
Like I said, make it make sense. Hold on. Now, here's the thing. make it make sense why they would even have to chase down for his phone and his keys. Make that make sense. This kid is missing. He's a kid. Why wouldn't these kids, or the parents of these kids, go, wait a second, you got his stuff? Give it back to his parents. Or hand it over to the police. That doesn't make sense. Let's hear about that.
Okay, so the situation with the key. When we got to the house, a few of his friends, they were already there. And they were at the door in the house asking questions. So when I walked up, they were getting, things were getting kind of tense. So I turned to them and told them, I need you guys to calm down. I don't do this to me right now. I need them to kind of trust me so they can give me something. So I was able to calm them down. So the guy, he's in one of the pictures, he came out of the room, half asleep or whatever, everywhere. I think Jack's or whatever. And I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. I'm here to get his keys so I can get his car. I said, he's like,
his car was in the yard.
His car's parked in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car home? He walks off, 2 or 3 minutes, come back. I can't find the keys. I said, okay. So at that point, I get the boys and I move them out the house because I didn't want them to go into the house and start tearing up these people's houses because then that would be a whole other situation. So we walk outside by the car. One of the guys that was in the house with us, he was on the phone with a girl, and the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently she was there with him earlier. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and 5 minutes later, the keys come out. So now I feel like you done lied to me. So now I'm really like in distress with you. But
No, hold on. Let's hear that one more time.
so he goes back up to the door by himself, and he in the house with us. He was on the phone with a girl, and the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently she was there with him earlier. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and 5 minutes later, the keys come out. So now I feel like you done lied to me. So now I'm really like in distress with you. But as far as that night goes,
What in the hell? Apparently, see, that's the thing. I'm trying to, Jamie, I'm trying to understand that too. Is it the same girl? Is it a different girl? He was on the phone with a girl. That's all we got. Hold on. Let me just roll that back just a tiny, tiny bit from the beginning.
His car was in the yard.
his car's parked in the yard. Half asleep or whatever, everywhere. I think Jack's or whatever. And I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. I'm here to get his keys so I can get his car. I said, he's like,
His car was in the yard.
his car's parked in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well.
Hold on. So his car, if I'm getting this correctly, yeah, I have it all the way up, Keem World. I'm sorry. I got it all the way up. It's turned all the way up. All right. But they're saying that even his car, if this is what I got correct, Nolan's car was in the yard of this house that they pulled up to. Nolan's car was in the yard that he walked up to. Just want to make that abundantly clear. Hold on.
So I can get his car. I said, he's like,
His car was in the yard.
his car's parked in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car home? He walks off, 2 or 3 minutes, come back. I can't find the keys. I said, okay. So at that point, I get the boys and I move them out the house because I didn't want them to go into the house and start tearing up these people's houses because then that would be a whole other situation. So we walk outside by the car. One of the guys that was in the house with us, he was on the phone with a girl, and the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jax guy's Xbox in the house, because apparently she was there with him earlier.
Make that make sense. Okay, so again, he said he walked over, he went over to the house. The house, there was, the car, his car, Nolan's car was in the yard. That's why he went there in the first place. Then he said, hey, do you happen to have the keys to the car? Do you happen to have his keys? Because I'd really like to get those keys. The kid went inside the house, came back out, and, basically he's like, this guy's like a brother to me. He was like a brother to me. And it's like, okay, if he's a brother to you, can you understand where we're coming from? Can you please go and find these keys? So he goes inside. He goes inside. He comes back out and he goes, I can't find them. They're not in there. But then somehow he gets on the phone with somebody, and that person is another girl, not the girl that he was talking to on the island, some other girl that basically says, no, Nolan's keys are on the Xbox inside your house. So he goes back inside. 5 minutes later, he comes back out with the keys. Hear it out.
So he goes back up to the door by himself, and 5 minutes later, the keys come out. So now I feel like you done lied to me. So now I'm really like in distress with you. But as far as that night goes, if I knew anyone who had a boat, I would have went out that night looking for my son. We tried, but I don't have friends with boats. But if I knew someone with one, I would have went out that night. And this so happened that his coach saw all the stuff on Facebook that next morning and called and contacted me at like 5 in the morning, asked me did we want to go out. And I told him yes. So within an hour, he was at the dock. We met him, and we went out. We docked the boat, got off the boat, walked on the island, walked a pretty nice stretch, came back, got back on the boat, went around the island, looked, came back around, and where we went to, that's where apparently they say that his body floated up. I don't know a lot about water currents over there, but I would think that we would have saw his body. Mm-hmm. And on the trip there was a family that stayed a night on the island, like actually tented out on the island. So if he was left, he would have saw that family on the island, and there was 2 other boats docked, so he would have had help.
Yo, that... If you didn't hear what he said, let me just say it really quick, all right? Because, yeah, it's very low. I cranked it all the way up, and that's as loud as it gets, babies, all right? So he just said that, one, he said, if I had access to a boat, if I knew somebody that had a boat, I would have been out there within seconds. I would have been out there that day. But he didn't know anybody. But apparently a coach, one of Nolan's coaches, saw what was going on Facebook, called him up and said, hey, I got a boat. Let's go out here. Let's go. I'll meet you in an hour. We're going to go and try to find Nolan, right? Go back to the island and find Nolan. So he met up with them, got onto the boat, went out there, and they apparently walked a good stretch of the island looking for Nolan, but he was nowhere to be found. But then later on, he was found dead in the water, right? Here's another piece of information that's also interesting. He also says that there was a family that actually stayed the night there, that they like camped out on the ocean or on the shore, on the beach overnight. So again, if he was stranded there by himself, there were people still there. There were 2 boats that were docked on the shore allegedly overnight. This is according to Nolan's dad. So again, if he was stranded and left behind and he was still alive at that time, he would have been able to see that there were people on that island that he could have walked over to and said, hey, can I hitch a ride back to the mainland? And also that family would have been able to see Nolan if he was there. Alive, that is. Let's continue.
So I don't know. I don't know. I think we stayed there for like an hour and a half. That's when Jackson County and the sheriff department showed up and they were going to do their rounds. And I had a classmate of mine, him and his two boys, they came out and they searched, and then they got back in touch with me and said the Coast Guard had finally showed up in airplane. So
What is so critical, what Elmore is saying, is they went out on Sunday, and the tide, if it brought his body up, he went missing on July 4th, as they say. His body should have been there on July 5th. Why would it not appear to July 6th? And that's one of those things that's just not adding up. And the fact that if he stayed behind on the island, there were boats there, there were people, somebody had to see something. That's why it's not adding up. And that's what they're saying. It's just not adding up.
yes,
And if he was there 2 days, somebody on the island would be able to verify that. 2 days, and nobody's come forward and said, no, he was with us, or no, we saw him. It just does not make sense. Make it make sense.
Just one last thing. We want her to talk about the cell phone deleted messages. I'm sorry. I thought my voice was loud enough. One last thing. We want to have Christine talk about the cell phone from her perspective before they tell you who Nolan was, and then we'll take your questions.
So when we made it home, my sister and I actually went through Nolan's cell phone, particularly Snapchat, because that is so popular with the children. And when we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed, hey, Ma, come on, take a picture of me. You know, like that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts. But I do want to say this. I would hope that any parent who, God forbid, would be in our situation, I would hope that you would do the same thing. I would hope that you would ask for any help, receive any help to get answers, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We just want to know. We just want to know what happened and why our baby didn't come home. Like that's our biggest thing. And we are so grateful to everyone, family, friends, classmates, United Cajun Navy, everybody that's assisted us. We appreciate you. There's not enough thank yous that we could say or give to you, but I just, we just want to know. We want an honest, thorough investigation. That's all we're asking for. That's it.
Do you want to say about who Nolan was, and then you talk about your
Nolan is a person with a big heart. He's loved by not just his family, but the community. He's a born people person. He really developed a bond with his baby brother, because both of them play the same position. So he was really understanding the business side of the sport, which is football, and understand that it's not just a game you playing. So the stuff that I was telling him, it was kind of starting to sink into him, and he was really getting more in depth into it. And I could see as he did that, his baby brother really started getting more into it as well, as far as being more focused, because he saw, well, if my big brother is about to go do this great thing, then I want to do this great thing, but I want to do it better. That's why that's what made them so like vinegar and oil. They it was like they was always at each other, but they were the same. When I look at my youngest, I'll say Nolan, or when I look at Nolan, I'll say my youngest name. So they would train together. I would always say, hey, you did some push-ups, you done ran some routes. And they know when I say that, next day they're out there running routes. Even my other son, he'll go out there. He doesn't play their position, but he would go out there and work and exercise and work out, because they were understanding what I was talking about. They were growing. They were becoming men. So this was his time. He would always talk to me. I would always give him my advice about stuff. I always try to tell him what to look for. And I was always telling him, I said, son, I'm giving you this advice and I'm telling you this stuff, but you're gonna have to experience this. But when you experience it, it won't be foreign to you. You'll have some kind of idea of how to navigate through it. And I think me and his mother, I think we did a great job with that. That's why it's so hard for me to believe that he would choose to stay on the island. It just wasn't in his character. It wasn't his character. So Nolan is the funniest kid in our family. Speaking of the time she was talking about, yeah, we were having a kind of heated moment, and I don't know if you guys remember the little dance called the Stanky Leg.
Mm-hmm.
I think my son created it because we were sitting in that closet looking and just like talking. He literally came to the closet door and peeked around and stood in front of him and just started doing this little crazy dance. And I was like, we just bust out like whatever we was arguing about, we stopped laughing. Then we called him to us and we just hugged and laughed and played. But then maybe 6 months later, the song got a hit. But we always said he created the Stanky Leg dance. But that's my greatest memory of my son.
What are you telling your other children about this?
My son Ethan, he's hurting. These are the ones these are the younger ones. He's like, Dad, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm like, son, you gotta keep going, because he would want you to be better. His youngest brother Elmore, the one that really worked out with him, he was like, I'm hurting, Dad, but I said, Nolan wants you to be the best he can be. He would want you to outdo him, and whenever you feel like you're in a bind or having some kind of problem, call on your brother, talk to your brother. My twins, the loss of a younger sibling is hurting them. They have to figure out how to navigate through life without him. And my daughter Carly, with her being away, it's really hard for her because she's not around family now. So she's out on her own, doing life and doing what life does. But she's doing it on her own, so she has to do this by herself. We're here, by phone, but we're not there in person. So she really has to draw on the people that's around her when she's not home. So all together, my family, this is going to be our new norm. He was the jester in my court, and yeah, he will be missed greatly, not by us, but by the whole community.
We will announce the funeral services when it is finalized, and we'll be going to help with I will officiate at the funeral in Mississippi. Again, we'll take your questions, but identify who you are, and please be respectful to families in mourning. But because they want justice for their son, they came to New York to make this appeal. But let's not make this a circus. Yes.
Say that last question?
How do you know that it's Nolan saying, give me my phone when you do him
Yeah.
in that video?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you want the second one is other children who are saying it was Nolan. Yeah.
So the last time we spoke and saw Nolan was July the 3rd. He actually cooked dinner for me, actually for us, because I had gotten off work. It's been really busy, and so he cooked dinner. It was salmon. He baked it. So proud. And then after that, he was just like, "Hey, Mom, I'm about to go. I love you." Gave us a hug, kiss, and he left. Which, of course, you know, he knew we always looked at the Life 360. So there were times maybe he didn't call us to let us know when he made it, but we would see it. He would text at some point, but that was the last time we saw and spoke with him.
Sir.
Dr. Roger Mitchell is doing the independent autopsy on behalf of Nolan Wells' family. And we understand that the young men have lawyers, so we will have to have their lawyers agree to let them speak to our investigators, and we have not attempted to talk to them as of yet. We have been attempting to talk to many of the students and people who are out there that we are aware of.
Okay. Right here.
Oh, okay. Justin Finch, Inside Edition, asking a question here. First, for the family, wondering if you recall from your friend what was said to her by the people who gave her Nolan's phone, and for Attorney Crump, wondering for you, at some point, will that phone be given to police for their investigation? They've expressed interest.
Yes.
So the exact wording of the exchange, it was through phone, because again, we were busy trying to figure out who was going to take the missing persons report. Just because when it's in water, when it occurs on the island, it's not necessarily the city or the county, because then it becomes an issue of jurisdiction. So like I said, she went there and spoke with, I cannot remember, I'm so sorry, my brain is everywhere. But she went to the house and retrieved the phone. She said, I have his phone, the phone was okay. As far as like appearance goes, it didn't look damaged or anything. And so then after that, we met with her at the other house where he had stayed the night, July the 3rd, where his car was. Because it was important for us to try to retrieve everything of his that we could. But it honestly, for both instances, it was a run around, because I know she had issues getting his phone as well. And she ended up calling me, and I think I spoke with the mother. She put me on speakerphone, and I was like, hey, you know, yes, I'm Christine, I'm Nolan's mom. We need his phone, we're trying to find him.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Okay. We'll go her and then you.
I guess let me answer the second part of the question. Absolutely, after our experts be able to examine the phone, we will let the Mississippi investigators examine the phone. And it's fortuitous that they have the phone, because normally in these investigations, as you know, Reverend Al, they will have the phone and stuff, and they will keep it for months, and the family just be in limbo. But thank God we have the phone now. We're going to do it expeditiously and give it to them to examine it as well.
Anna Schechter with CBS News. So you said that he stayed the night at a friend's. The first question is, did he stay with the friends that he went on the boat with?
Yes, he did.
And my second question is, has anyone come forward and provided you with other photographs or videos from Horn Island from July 4th that afternoon?
They're starting to send them to our office, and that's what Attorney Park was being so adamant about. Please continue to send whatever videos you got, whatever pictures you got, and we're very thankful that some young people have done that.
Good afternoon. Darla Miles, ABC 7 New York. First of all, I would like to extend my condolences to you, Mr. and Mrs. Walmsley. I know this is very brave of you, and we appreciate your transparency. Two questions, also my regards to you, Reverend Al, Mr. Crump. My first question is, this happened in Mississippi, and you've traveled here to meet with Reverend Al Sharpton. Why was this important to you, and how meaningful has this meeting been with you here in New York?
Talk to national media.
So we did this because, once again, what we're wanting is transparency, right? Although I do absolutely respect law enforcement, just the fact that the, accidental drowning thing, it made both me and his father uncomfortable. Why are we so quick to rush to this? And we just, at the end of the day, we want answers. This has been very impactful. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the day they found him, we were at Port Mars, which is one of the boat launches, and I was standing beside the water, and I had said a prayer, and I was like, Lord, this isn't what we wanted, but I just asked him to help us get through this, put the right people in our path that could potentially help us, because at that point, we hadn't reached out to anybody. We didn't know where to start. This is foreign. We've never been through this. No parent should go through this. And then that's when my cousin, Keezy, she sent me a message with some information. My friend, Bianca, her sister, knows a contact with Attorney Ben, and so I said, okay, this has to be it. This has to be God helping us along the way. And I am not religious, but I am spiritual. And for that, I was grateful because I felt like things were being set up. And at this point, I have always said, we are taking any help. Any help. We don't care, black, white, purple, again, we just want to know what happened. That's all we want to know. We just want to know what happened.
And my quick follow-up to that, were you able to get a clear explanation as to the chain of custody of his phone, like how that parent came in possession of his phone? And then explain the resistance. You said you went to the home to get the keys. I don't understand, what kind of resistance? What was that exchange of words like? The resistance that you received when you went to go retrieve his keys. Thank you.
He just acted like he didn't know where they were. He just
That's weird.
Clueless. He just I don't know. Just please. I was like, just please go in the room and look for me, cause. Be honest with you, at that time, I was very emotional. No one was giving me an answer. So that situation with me and them could have went totally left field. But since those other young kids were in there, at that moment, they kept me from doing what I wanted to do. So getting them and calming them down, it helped me focus on what I was really there for, to find the keys. And like I said, when I asked him, he said he went and looked. And so when he said he couldn't find them, I did what I needed. I left out of their home. And like I said, 5 minutes later, he come back out with the keys. And they didn't come back outside anymore until the police came. Because at that time, police were called because we were looking for his wallet. And then they went to the door. But other than that, when they sent the keys out, they locked everything. They didn't want nothing to do with what was outside that door. So that right there is, when you lied to me, it killed all trust in anything you had to say.
All right, I'm gonna take the last four. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The young lady who had
Yeah,
her hand up.
okay. Go ahead.
Maria Campanodi with CNN. Two questions for Attorney Crump, just to get some clarification on the timeline of the events. When was Nolan last seen and by whom? And the second question is, who first reported Nolan missing and when?
Well, and I asked his mother to also assist on the second question. But as it's conflicts, you know, the young woman say that he went and got back on the boat with the boys. The boys say no. He said he was going to stay with her. And that's a conflict. And the troubling thing is if they're saying, well, he made the decision to stay behind, would an 18-year-old college student say, go ahead without me, I don't want my cell phone or anything? It just doesn't add up.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That, around that 3 o'clock time, seems to be the last time that we have those statements. However, as Christine said, they're suggesting that they didn't leave till 4:30 though. So, you know, if you said you were leaving at 3, why did you left at 4:30? And where was Nolan
at
for
that time?
That hour? And talking
Israel.
about, I think she was asking about the cell phone. What was your? Oh, I answered last scene. I thought you said something else.
I think
30. Oh, the missing. Okay.
So, his friend contacted me, it was around 11:07, and then I called my friend to ask her had she seen him, because that would be the only other place I would think he would go if he were back on land. And so then when she told me no, she's like, don't worry, I'm going to look for him, and that's when we got on the phone. First I called, it was either the county or Ocean Springs, it was either one of them. But whichever I called first, I was directed to call DMR, because so DMR, if I'm not mistaken, they handle cases with the island or the water in that area. So the young lady took the information down. She's like, I'm gonna give you a call back. I said, okay. So when she called me back, she explained to me, she was like, you know, I've spoken with the Coast Guard, which his friend had contacted the Coast Guard, Warren had contacted the Coast Guard to report Nolan missing as well. So I'm on the phone with the DMR, he's calling Coast Guard. And she said, I spoke with Coast Guard, and you know, you're gonna have to complete the report with, I think it was Ocean Springs. So we go down to the Ocean Springs Police Department. We're told because it's a jurisdiction issue that they can't file the missing police report. Jackson County ends up, the Sheriff's Department ends up calling me back, I think if I'm remembering this correctly, and she was calling to check to see were they able to do it. I told her no, they couldn't do it. The young lady on the phone and the officer at Ocean Springs Police Department spoke. He explained to her why Ocean Springs Police Department could not complete the missing persons report. She said, okay. He gives the phone back. She's like, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it so there's no more back and forth. So my husband and I, we met an officer in the McDonald's parking lot. I think at this point it's maybe around 12. Don't quote me on that. But we explained to him, you know, what he looked like, age, all those things. Last time he was reported seen, which again, by his friend, he said that the last time he physically saw him was at 3 p.m. and they were getting ready to leave the island.
Israel Rodriguez with the U.S. Sun. Have you been able to gather additional information made by Warren's mother, Ashley Cole, on social media, where she said the group left the island after they experienced trouble with the boat and that the boat began taking in water?
Your question is what directly? We know she made that statement.
Have you been able to gather additional information on that?
No, we have not.
Thank you. Kevin Ortega Rojas with Here's Why News. I was hoping that the family could clarify Nolan's relationship with the young men that he traveled to the island with. We've heard different accounts of how long he's known them, and I was wondering also if you folks have spoken to those families since they lawyered up.
High school friends.
Is when we found it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say the second part again.
Have they talked to the families? No.
I haven't spoken.
Last question.
They haven't spoken to the family.
I stand here as a cousin, a first cousin of a victim. In 2020, he went out with his friend and the mother, who was white, and he went missing. He was found dead, deceased, in a field behind her house. She was arrested. She was charged with failing to report a missing child and contributing to the delinquent of a juvenile. So your story is very familiar. Your pain, I feel it. And I will continue to advocate. I'm an activist, and I go all across the world. But today, I'm here because I stand with you. As a cousin of a victim, I know what you feel when you don't get justice and the system is up against you.
God bless you. Thank you. We will follow up, and when we're ready to formal announcements. Again, the funeral service is not to prompt religion, it's to seek justice and unity. And we want everybody, black, white, everybody, to come and extol what this young man represented. It's not a protest rally. It will be to really lift up the spirit of this young man and to stand with the family. If we have to do protest rallies, that'll be announced at another time. But the funeral services is to talk about how Nolan was a great young man to his family, and we're there to comfort them. Thank you for your time. Let us, please.
I'm sorry. So I know I have been seeing some younger people, real adults, older people doing protests. We actually had a very small one in Ocean Springs. Some young boys that knew Nolan, actually some of his friends. So what Elmore and I would like to say is, if you do, please be peaceful. Nolan was not someone who liked fights, physical fights. He really didn't even like arguments. So don't go out there trying to be tough. Just think about what Nolan would want. And I'm telling you, he would not want that type of behavior. So let's just make sure that we keep it peaceful and respectful to one another's and others, and just stay away from negativity, but also to all of those who have sent beautiful messages. We have not gone through all of them, but I want you to know that we appreciate you, your love, your support, standing with us, and just keep us in your prayers.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ray.
Okay. So there's that. And again, there's a lot. All right. There's a lot that's being said that doesn't make any sense. You just heard the timeline. You just heard a little bit of what has happened. They had to go out of their way to go get stuff, his belongings from his friends. How does that even make any does that remotely make any sense? Why would they have to go and chase somebody down for the phone? Why would they have to chase anybody down for his keys to go get his car? Now, I get it, his car, is somewhere else. They got to go and get the car and all that. I get that part, but no one reached out to them to be like, hey, his car is here. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. All right. So we do have a couple things. I know somebody said that there's an interview on News Nation. I guess they did an interview right after this press conference. So I want to pull this up and see what they have here. But again, like I said, it just doesn't make any, the timeline ain't timelining. And the way that they out here, the way that they're maneuvering is strange. That's very, very strange. But you know what I mean? But here's the thing. It just may be a strange story. Like, there may be no foul play whatsoever. We got to keep that on the table. There may be no foul play whatsoever. These kids could very well be 110% innocent, y'all. Let's not forget that. They could be completely innocent, or something nefarious happened. It's either one. It's one or the other, because the timeline ain't timelining. And how they're out here handling the situation is strange. No person, in my personal opinion, no person is not going to call up the family and be like, hey, I have his phone. Would you like his phone back? Let's just start there. Let alone, let's not forget the fact that they went and got his phone and things were deleted off the phone. Things were non-existent on certain apps and on certain things in his phone. That seems weird too. Something odd is going on. And then at the same time, it's like, he's like, oh, I don't know where his keys are. He was like a brother to me. I don't know. I don't have his keys. Yet they were inside the house. Now, here's the other thing too. That could just be an honest mistake. That could literally be an honest mistake.
Thank you, Reverend.
Or something bad happened here, right? Something nefarious happened. No, that's just the press conference. Hold on. Like it's just not making any bloody sense, y'all. Like none. And somebody needs to come out here and explain, make it make sense, right? So we're going to hop over to Good Morning America. They did an interview. Like I said, they did all kinds of interviews. All right. They've been out here. All right. So we're going to go over to Good Morning America. We're going to go over to what the heck? We're going to go over to Good Morning America real quick. They've been doing their rounds today. They went to TMZ. They did CBS, ABC. They just did a press conference. I mean, they're doing their rounds. They want to bring awareness to this situation, and I don't blame them because, like I said, the math ain't mathin'. Something does not make sense. These kids are acting strange. Don't know why. I also have a mother who was also a judge in that county, in the county that they all grew up in. She wrote something. She spoke out as well. We're going to take a look at that as well. Because, again, you never know. These kids could be 110% innocent, y'all. They could truly be 110% innocent, or something bad happened here. I'm telling you right now, with what we've heard so far, from what they've given us, it doesn't make sense. It looks sus as hell, y'all. And this has nothing to do with race, because I know some people are like, yeah, the black community. Just look at the timeline. Look at the information that has been given to us. And you tell me, has nothing to do with race on that part. Unless somebody ran up to him and called him the N-word or threw out some sort of racial slur. That'd be one thing. But right now, nothing of that sort has ever been brought up. All we know is that this young man lost his life somehow, and how they've been acting out here, the kids that were his friends, how they've been acting and what they've been telling doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Why hold on to his phone? Why hold on to his keys? Why? That just doesn't make sense. Why are we getting two different conflicting stories? Right? Let's play this. We got some more.
Mysterious death of Nolan Wells. We're joined by his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, as well as their attorney, Ben Crump. And before we get started, first off, I want to thank you for being here under these circumstances. Know how extremely tough it must be, and we can express how sorry we are for you and your family. And first question, how are you two holding up?
Taking it second by second.
Day by day. Second by second and day by day, which we all can understand. And I just want to ask you, the friends that Nolan traveled to Horn Island with, they say that he stayed behind voluntarily. Why would he stay behind?
That we cannot answer. I can't fathom why he would. I
don't know why he would. We always taught him to, if you go with a group, you stay with a group. Mm-hmm. Even when he was in college, he would say, Dad, well, we're going to ride down to a party or something in another city. Now, so I was telling him, look, if you go with 5, you come back with 5. Do not separate from your group. Because I always say safety is in numbers. Mm-hmm. And he always said, yes, sir. So he knew to stay with his group. So why would he split from his group? I don't know.
So that would have been unusual for him to split from the group. And you said he would always check in with you. Did he check in with you that day?
So that day, no, I don't. But of course, too, they were on the boat, and usually when he is out there, which it's not uncommon, he's I think since last year he's been going there occasionally with his friends, and so it would always just be like, "Hey, Mom, I'm back," type of thing. But this time there was no call or text from him. It was from his friend.
And then too, really didn't worry a lot about it because it was his last weekend to have fun because that Monday he had to report to school. And we was preparing to take him back for camp to prepare for the season. So, we're gonna see. He wanted to have his last little hurrah before he locked down and get ready for the season. Because, like I said, the entire summer he's training. He got more serious. He started to understand what I was trying to tell him about football, not just being fun, but as you get farther in it, it becomes a business. If you want to excel, and you have to understand, and you have to understand both at the same time.
And we know, Ben, that you said that you're going to do an independent investigation.
Yes.
And you say you have Nolan's cell phone and messages were deleted. How could you tell messages were deleted?
Well, his parents got the phone back, and that's something that's important, Michael, because they tracked this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima, and I said, "Hey, have you guys seen Nolan?" Because her two sons, Jalen and Javon, they grew up together. They played City League sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. I'm not. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
That's weird, right? So you got very okay. So she ran the thing. They were able to track it down, but it's crazy how he was still on the island. This is how they started to figure out that the phone was not with him. The phone would have stayed on the island if it was with him, or it'd be somewhere in the middle of the ocean. You see what I'm saying? To be in the water. It wasn't. It was on the mainland.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
So somebody had to go out of their way to pick up the phone. How do you forget that? I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old or young you are, okay? If you have common sense, in your mind, you're going, okay, this particular person is missing. You're not going to the family and being like, hey, here's your phone. Here's his phone. I figured you'd want that back. Or why aren't you giving it to 5-0? Why did they have to go and why did they have to go out of their way to pick up this phone? Common sense would tell you, oh, well, I have his phone. Maybe I should give this back to the parents so that they can do their own whatever. So it doesn't look weird. So it doesn't look like I'm connected to his disappearance in some nefarious way. You see what I'm saying? And it's also interesting that all the kids, it doesn't mean an admission of guilt, but it is still interesting that all the kids, all the boys are have lawyered up. That's the other piece too. All the boys have lawyered up. Again, I know that is not an instant admission of guilt, but it does make people side-eye you just a little bit. Okay? Just saying that out loud. Let's continue.
It wasn't like they said we got his phone, they tracked it. And that highlights all these contradictions, Michael. The fact that they said Nolan was talking to a young woman and she said that he said, I'm going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys said that he said he was going to stay with her. And so that's an obvious contradiction. And then this video of this, you can hear an argument going where Nolan is saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing? And so then his phone ends up missing. I don't know any teenagers, Michael Strahan, who says, if you believe their story, I'm gonna stay behind and I'm gonna leave my phone.
I mean, no young person leaves their cell phone.
I agree. Again, you got a apparently video footage of him saying, "Give me my effing phone." What the F? Give me my effing phone. Why would they hold that from him? See what I'm saying? So you got those pieces. Let's just connect those dots. All right? You got a guy, you got a young man saying, "What the F? Give me my effing phone back." Right? And then they had to go retrieve the phone from somebody else after he was found while they're trying to find him out in the ocean by this island. Make that make sense? You see what I'm saying? You got a phone that he's like, "Give me my effing phone." He goes missing without his phone. And the parents have to track that phone down so that they can get in their possession. Then on top of it, things are deleted off the phone.
And so then there's so many things their parents were telling us about. Even why didn't his body wash up with the tide on Sunday? Why would it come on Monday? It's not adding up. And that is the problem when you think about the history of Mississippi.
Yeah, so there's so many questions that need to be answered. And is there anything you'd like people to know about Nolan? What would you like them to know about your son?
Okay. And of course, this is the emotional stuff. I understand that piece, but all right, let's play it.
No,
It's okay.
Nolan, take your time. Nolan was very loving. He was liked by all. It was not a friend that he couldn't make.
No, we'll be right back with more for the parents of Nolan Wells and attorney Ben Crump.
That's crazy, right? They had to cut to a break because I guess she was breaking down so bad, right? And here, what's interesting is I understand that Don Lemon did an interview with Benjamin Crump. I mean, this is, like I said, they've been hitting the ground hard, bringing awareness over this particular case. This is absolutely, I mean, this is crazy. This is heartbreaking for sure. So we're gonna jump ahead a little bit.
To know about your son.
So Nolan was just like this bright light, right? Walk into a room, his smile, his energy was just so infectious. Like it's almost like he drew you into him. And he was just one of those people, like he always wanted everyone to be included. He didn't want anyone to feel left out. I remember one of his teachers emailing us. I can't remember what grade he was in, but basically it was math class. They had a special needs student, and she asked a question, and Nolan got everyone to put their hands down because he wanted that student to answer. And so student answers the question, and she was like, "Christine, the classroom, Nolan went crazy, and everyone else started going crazy, just celebrating that child." Making them feel included. And that was the person he was. Like he loved everyone. And I always told Nolan, like, you have to be careful when you have such a big heart like that. I love that God blessed you with that, but you have to be careful with that because that it's not always returned, that type of love. But he was just genuinely a good person. Like I always say, all the best parts of me are with him.
And Dad, anything else you want to add?
It's just, he's gonna be really missed. I know a lot of his teammates, they all look to him as a leader. He's more like a silent leader. Not real big on words, more action, which is kind of like I was. I really wasn't real big on talking. I really wanted to show you, and you follow me, and people followed him. And it's gravitated. He put in the work, he worked hard, and he knew he was focused on what he wanted. And he wanted to make life better for, his family. He wanted to have his own family. He used to say, Dad, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to break this. I said, well, son, you got to take it one step at a time. Slow down, let's go, let's walk this thing out. You know, let's train, let's sign our deals, let's make these teams, make these camps, put the work in, and everything else will work out. Even his baby brother, their bond got even stronger because now I have a big brother that he's finna do something, so now I want to outdo that. So his focus and his confidence has got even better. So I was looking forward to both of them having outstanding years.
Seasons,
It seemed like he inspired in the home and he inspired outside of the home. And Attorney Crump, where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, the deleted messages that Christina was going to briefly touch on, we want to get the phone and figure that out.
Backtrack on that. When we finally got his phone, me and my sister went through the phone. We went in his Snapchat. He had 2 accounts, absolutely nothing. It wasn't even 24 hours, which is how long videos and pictures stay in Snapchat. And I was just like, that can't be. Like, I've seen Nolan whenever he snaps, like when he goes and he's having fun, like he does videos. Like, there was absolutely nothing, no saved videos. And even my sister was like, yeah, that's suspicious,
Michael,
you know.
We having an independent autopsy done at the behest of his family. Colin Kaepernick helped pay for the independent autopsy. We flew his body up from Mississippi to D.C. because they wanted an autopsy done by a person with no interaction with the Mississippi law enforcement, because there's an issue of trust here that is really important. And the fact that they keep trying to say, well, suggesting it was a drowning, but nobody out there reported him drowning, it's not adding up, Michael.
It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. I agree. You got a kid in an area where you can clearly see that something's going on. If something was going on, you can clearly see that. And the fact that no one reported anything, I do find that weird. The cell phone thing is weird. The keys was weird. All of it. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It just does not. But let's continue on. I got a statement from one of the mothers, and I think this is something that we should all take a look at. One of the mothers, wanted to speak out because obviously there's been a lot of this has been a very heated conversation. All right, this has been very heated. A lot of people feeling some type of way about this. I get it. There's been a lot of fingers pointing. And I say, before we automatically just jump down one rabbit hole or go to one side, we try to get as much information as we can. Yes, things are suspicious. We cannot not acknowledge that, right? But we can't automatically just say, oh, yeah, these kids just did them bad. There could have been a mistake, right? There could have been a huge mistake. A huge accident, and it could have been solo. It could have just been by him. And here's the other thing, too. Just because he's a strong swimmer, just because he's a good, strong swimmer, does not mean that you can't have an accident. Doesn't mean that you can't have a bad moment or, get sucked under a riptide or something of that sort. You see what I'm saying? So, again, hopefully we get some more information here very soon. But let's take a look at this. This is apparently a judge from the area. One of her kids was on that boat with Nolan Wells. So her name is Ashley Cole. So this is what she said. Our family, along with the community, grieves the loss of Nolan Wells. Our thoughts and prayers are with Nolan's family. Our son, Warren, loved Nolan dearly. Unfortunately, I feel that it is appropriate for our family to dispel some rumors with facts based upon the social media attention that is being diverted away from the Wells family and their loss. Yes, I deactivated my Facebook. Given the very heightened emotional state of social media right now, I fear the safety of my child and my children. My husband and I have 6 children. We covet their privacy. We do not believe it is appropriate for our minor children's photographs to be circulated throughout the internet, presenting potential threats to their safety. Yeah, I would say, everyone needs to cool it, right? Threatening people and saying, oh, I know where you live and all that. That's not a good thing to do. You don't do that, right? And yes, some of these families have been getting threats for sure, but no one knows the full scope of anything yet. Yes, things are suspect, but we don't know everything yet. So let's wait till we get all the facts before we start jumping down people's throats and start accusing people of things. And then also at the same time, telling people I know where you live and I'm going to take your life is messed up. Threatening people's lives are not good. Don't do it. All right. I graduated high school with Christine Wells Wansley. So she knows Christine, the mama. Okay. We are from the same community. I have the utmost respect for her and all the Wells family. We mourn the loss of Nolan with them. Our prayers have been and will continue to be with them. My husband and I were not at Horn Island at any point on the 4th of July. No one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers. Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan. Wait. Okay. He saw Nolan last at around 3 p.m. on the 4th of July. They left around 4:30. So that boat was sitting there chilling on the shore for an hour and a half. For a full hour and a half. And no one went and said, wait, maybe we need to find out where he's at. You see what I'm saying? Maybe we need to see what's popping here. An hour and a half, no sign of Nolan. That seems a little bit weird. But anyway, apparently Nolan was last seen around 3 p.m. 4:30, they left on the boat, okay? When the boat was taking on water, and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Don't know what that is, but okay. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Who is the other group of friends then? Who is it? Is it the McCormick girl? Her name is Katie McCormick. Is it the girl that he ran off with to talk to? Is that who he was supposed to ride off with? So that's weird. They had an issue with the boat. So Nolan made the decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. But he left his phone, his keys, his belongings on the boat that he originally came to the island on. Okay. Yes, she says, yes, I am a judge. I also value transparency. I apologize if anyone was offended that I deleted my social media. There was no nefarious motivations in deleting my social media. Social media has a lot of positives, but a whole lot of negatives. We live in a world of clickbaiting. Sad but true. My family is hopeful that this information will help to redirect the attention to the Wells family, their grief, and their need for our community's support. So this is what the judge put up, okay? A judge from that county who actually went to high school with Nolan Wells's mom, that also has a son that is close friends, allegedly, close friends with Nolan. She spoke out. Okay? And now she is saying, like, I'm deleting my social media because I don't want any of this smoke. I don't want any of these problems, so on and so forth. But it's very, very interesting that she did speak. Okay? Hold on, I'm just checking something here really quick. Hold on. Yeah. So that I was checking because I thought maybe she put out another statement after that statement, but that's the only statement that she put out. Okay. So again, she was like, we weren't there. We had nothing to do with that situation. My son said that he last saw Nolan at 3 p.m. They left around 4:30. They were having issues with something on the boat, so that's why they had to leave. So they left, but Nolan said that he made a decision, as she said, made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Who are the other group of friends? That's the thing that I'm having a huge problem with, okay? Then we've also heard from Katie McCormick, the girl that he was talking to, the girl that he went off to go talk to. Her sister, if I'm correct, apparently spoke out, basically saying something along the lines of, hold on, let me see if I still have it. Let me see if I can find that real quick. One second, y'all. Allegedly, this is what she posted. Hopefully, sometimes people put things up that aren't true, but we'll see if this is the actual thing. Katie had a conversation and assumed that Nolan was getting ready to get on the boat he came out in. Katie made it home because she was on another boat and with different people. Katie was safe because my brother and sister-in-law went and got her. Okay. Katie assumed the quote-unquote friends telling him to get on the boat wouldn't have left him. Katie assumed the friends telling him to get on the boat wouldn't have left him. Me and my family have talked, called, and are sending up prayers to bring Nolan home. Obviously, this is during the time that he had disappeared at that time before he was discovered. All right, but moving on. We have given all the answers we can give to his mom and authorities. I mean, and again, Katie assumed that the friends telling him to get on the boat wouldn't have left him. That seems weird. Again, unless he was wasted. That's the only thing I can think of. Unless he was like super duper wasted and he's like, I'm not getting on that boat. You know what I mean? They're like, come on, man, get on the boat. The hell is wrong with you, man? We got to get on the boat. That's the only other reason I can think of that would make him not, that would make him not stick around. But then at the same time, if you knew your friend is drunk and you're in an area where it's not like there's like a local watering hole, there's no civilization, right? There's no buildings, no stores, no CVS, you know what I'm saying? No homes or anything of that sort. It's just sand, right? It's just a little island with nothing on it. Wouldn't you want to make sure that person gets back home in one piece? You're not going to just leave your friend out there drunk, right? You're not just going to leave him high and dry. You're going to be like, Nolan's drunk. Hold up, y'all. Just give me a second. Let me just hop off the boat. Let me just try to get him in here. All right? Give me a second. Let me just get him. All right? He's drunk. Hold up. If he was drunk. That is if he was drunk. There is photos of him holding like a seltzer of some sort on a boat before he disappeared. But like I said, you really think if you really gave a damn about the person, and if he was drunk or on something, and if he was to be like, nah, man, I'm not going on that boat. F y'all, I'm not going on that boat. And he's drunk, and you're the only way he can get back home, or at least back to the mainland, aren't you gonna do whatever you can to get that person back on the boat? You're not just gonna be like, bye. You know what I mean? Sunday Soul just said bilge pump pumps water out that gets into the boat. That's good to know. Thank you so much. I figured it was something like that because they were saying they were having issues with the boat, so they had to kick rocks, right? They had to get going. But it seemed like they didn't have issues with that boat or have issues with the bilge pump until much later, because they were there for a good hour and a half before they actually left the actual island. So again, you see what I'm saying? It's very interesting. Very interesting. So again, you can play like you can play different scenarios all day long. The thing that's just not adding up to me is the end result. How this kid ended up found unalive in the water. And it's not like there was anything to avert people's eyes. There was nothing blocking. You know what I mean? It's not like there was a building in the way or a dock or a whole bunch of trees and shrubbery. And he went behind there and then something bad happened and he just got sucked under the water or anything like that. You see what I'm saying? So again, something strange is going on here. And then after the fact, his phone being there, deleted messages, the keys were in somebody else's possession. Okay? That doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And then again, if he really was going to go on another boat with another group of people, who was the other people? And why haven't they spoken out? Why haven't we heard anything from them? Because is that information not true? Could they be lying about that? Something just ain't mathin'. The math most definitely ain't mathin' with this. Let's take a look at this.
Sociable with everyone, didn't meet a stranger.
Tonight, as Nolan Xavier Wells' death draws national attention, the people who knew him best are refusing to let his story be reduced to a headline. The questions surrounding his death remain unanswered. Officials are urging patience for facts while his family continues to demand answers. Good evening. I'm Troy Johnson.
Preparing to say goodbye.
It's heartbreaking, man, whenever it's...
This is his coach. Apparently, this is his coach speaking out.
Obviously, you don't want to see anyone lose their life at any age, and but someone young like this with a future in front of them, it's tough.
18-year-old Wells was supposed to move into his dorm on Monday to begin getting ready for this football season. The teenager was found dead on Horn Island Monday morning.
There's a mixture of feelings, with these guys. Some guys want to talk about it, and some, kind of want to have time to themselves, and some are angry and, crying.
Wells played wide receiver at Southwest. George says it's the impact that he made off the field that will be missed the most.
I can't speak enough about the type of teammate that he was. These players here, man, it's really, there's guys that are, all the guys are heartbroken that were here last year. At his position meetings, the wide receivers, nobody will sit in his chair.
George describes the student athlete as a person full of life and always willing to put others first.
He was a guy that never had a bad day, never. Very, very sociable with everyone, didn't meet a stranger. He would pop up at my office and come sit on the couch just to hang out and talk.
George says Wells was a part of his first recruiting class at Southwest, and he believes the example Nolan set will continue to shape the program for years to come.
When you step into a situation in a program that you just got hired into that hasn't had a lot of success, and you're having to, set the culture, Nolan is that guy that's going to help you set the culture of the program with the standard, consistently doing things right.
That's what's up. I mean, from what I've understood, from what I've gathered, from what we heard from his dad and everything, that he was like a silent leader. He led by example, etc. Right? Yeah. So I want to pull something up because I saw somebody say something, and I feel compelled to show y'all something. So melanated honey unfiltered. So here it is. Show me a picture where he had a seltzer in his hands. That is not true, Pascal. In all caps. Well, you asked for it. Here it is. Take a look at that photo. In his hands, that looks like he's holding a seltzer. I think that's a High Noon, just to be exact. He did partake in libations while he was on that trip at Horn Island. That is a photo with him and some dude. I don't know who that is, but he's holding a seltzer. And last I checked, seltzer does have alcohol in it. So sorry, but there's the proof. There you go. And in fact, hold on. I'll even do you guys a solid. I'll do you even more. Hold on. Let's see. High Noon seltzer. Let's take a gander. High Noon. You see that, guys? Just want to make sure you see that. And then see the image in his hand. See that? High Noon. In his hands. And this guy is also like drinking, I think, maybe that's a Michelob in his hand or something like that. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's a Budweiser, but it's a red, white, and blue. You know what I mean? Kind of, for the America's birthday. But they were drinking, baby. Oh yeah. They were drinking. So there it is. All right. And no, that's not AI. But there's alcohol in that drink. Okay. And the thing is, from my understanding, it's low in alcohol, but you still got, you got to drink. You got to drink to feel something. You know what I mean? With that type of stuff, right? It's low percentage in alcohol, but still, he was drinking. Okay. He was drinking. So there you guys go. There you guys have it. All right. So again, just so y'all know. All right. And again, like I said, he was out there. He's kicking it. He's doing his thing. He could have just been, sipping on a seltzer. No big deal. Sipping a little bit. Nothing big. That may not be the reason why he's no longer here with us. An accident may have happened. Something sinister, something nefarious could have happened. Anything is possible. But he was partaking a little bit. Underage drinking, not the greatest thing in the world, but at the same time, what happened here? Because I don't think he was drunk. I don't think he was so wasted that ish just hit the fan out of nowhere. I just don't see it. I personally don't. I mean, yes, that's still a possibility, but I don't see it. You see what I'm saying? I personally just don't. But again, anything's possible. Now, the thing is the video that I have not, we played this earlier. They're saying that this is the video where, and maybe there's another video out there that I have not seen. I have not seen any other video except for this very video. But this particular person tried to cut out the ambient sound in the background to hear what was being said in this argument. Now, is this Nolan Wells and his friends arguing? I erased as much of the noise as I could, hoping somebody can figure out what's being said, because it had a 2B and it had two B's next to each other, just so you know. But here it is. All right, let's take a listen to this. I mean, are we sure that's Nolan? Are we sure that's Nolan right there? I mean, that is the video that everybody and their mama has been playing and talking about. And I'm telling you right now, and there's another video of like, it looks like another altercation, but that's the thing. I don't know if that is, you know, they've been, people have been showing this one a lot. This one right here. I don't know if this is on Horn Island or not. I think that's just another altercation that happened on the 4th of July. Okay. So people getting angry, right? But like I said, hold on. I just have not heard anybody say, I have not heard anything of the sort of them saying like, you know, here, I'm going to play this one again. Just the original video. Take a listen. I don't hear, you know, give me my effing phone. I don't hear it. Oh, wait a second. I think I do hear it. Give me my mother effing phone. That's what it sounds like right there. What the F you doing? Give me my mother effing phone. What the F you doing? Now, here's the thing. If it's true that this whole argument was happening over there, right over there on the sand, on the shore, that would mean his phone was over there, everybody. That would mean the phone was on the shore. Uh-oh. So for those of y'all who are like, oh, well, there's no cell phone service over there. So why would he need the phone over there? Now, if this is really him saying that, being like, what the F? Give me my mother effing phone. What the F? Whatever he said, right? If that is him saying that over there, that would mean his phone is all the way over there on land. On the damn island. So tell me, how did that damn phone get on the boat? The bomber clot. Tell me, how did that phone, if it was over there, get on that boat? If that is him. I'm going to play that again. That last piece. Give me my mother effing phone. What the F you doing? I hear that clear as day now. Now I hear it clearly. But he's over here, though. He right there on the damn shore. So how did the damn phone get on the boat? Someone tell me. How did the damn phone get on the damn boat? Huh? Huh? Yeah, guys. How did it get on the phone on the boat? If it's all the way over there, I'm just being real. Dylan, I'm here all day long. Dylan, how the phone get on the damn boat? How did it get on the freaking boat? If it's all the way over there. And remember, somebody else was sitting there going, hey, well, the cell phone service, blah, blah, blah. Of course he would leave it on the boat. But it wasn't on the boat. He's arguing about getting his phone on the damn shore, though. So how did the damn phone get on the damn boat, but not with Nolan? And yes, they also had his damn keys, though. They also had his keys. Let's not forget that, too. And if you really think about it, somebody just said, unforgivable to said. How is the person on the boat able to hear anything at that distance? Think about this for a second. What if the argument was so volatile and so loud that everybody's staring at that situation? Look at them. Look at everybody. They're not looking out to the ocean. They're not holding their seltzers going, "Oh, God bless America. I'm just out here floating around in the ocean, just enjoying looking at that vast, beautiful blue sea. Land of the free, home of the brave. Yes, loving it. Ain't nothing American like being in the ocean and drinking some white claw, right? Amber waves of nope. They're all looking at him. Look at the video again. You tell me, except for these two people on the boat that are over here looking elsewhere, everyone's looking in that direction. Oh, come tell me something different, girl. Okay, I'm gonna mute it. Just take a look. Take a look. They're scanning and everyone's looking that way. Look at that. They're all looking that way. All of them. You don't see that? So the argument was loud enough to get other people's attention. So they must have been screaming, yelling, God knows what, right? They're all looking in that direction. Look, they're all looking in that direction. Especially this group right here. They're all looking that way. You see what I'm saying? Look at this dude right here. He's looking in that direction. He's not turning around and go, "Oh, that's a nice boat. Woo! Ooh, this water's so warm and wonderful. Look at that boat. Woo!" Nope, he's looking in that direction where they're arguing. So something happened. Where's everybody else? Yeah, over the music, they're that loud. So what was going on here? I'm going to play that again for y'all. So crazy. Now I hear it. Now I hear it. You know, sometimes I got a point. You know, sometimes I got a point. Sometimes I'm completely off. It just is what it is. It's life, baby. But they are arguing for show. But what did the argument stem from? Give me my mother effing phone. What the F you doing? And that argument was not on a boat. It is on the shore. And if this is truly where they were at, arguing with each other, how did the phone get on the boat without Nolan? The only thing I can think of, I don't know why I snorted there. Sorry. I went, so here's the thing. The only thing I can think of is that there was an altercation over something that may have been said, something that may have been captured on the phone. Maybe they were doing something illegal. Maybe they said something wrong and it was captured on video on his phone. That's possible. They may have been smoking a little bit. Maybe they were doing a little something, popping something. You know what I mean? Anything. Could have been anything. And somebody tripped out. Somebody went and was like, give me your, grabbing the phone. Why are you filming that, man? That's the only thing I can think of. Unless something happened and he pulled out the phone, basically saying like, oh, look, this guy just said something mean to me or something, right? And then the guy snatches the phone and he's like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Give me my mother-loving phone. The F is wrong with you, bro? Give me my phone, man. That's the only other thing I can think of. But would that mean his life being ended over something like that? Think about it. They may have been, snort, something, and it got caught on camera. Or maybe he thought, maybe the person who snatched the phone from him thought it was being caught on camera, but he's like, I didn't shoot anything, man. What the hell? Give me my phone back, man. The hell's wrong with you, bro? But I'm going to ask that again. How did the damn phone get on the damn boat without Nolan? How did that happen? That means somebody pocketed it. Somebody held on to it and said, hell no, I'm out of here, bro, and took that phone. That's the only other thing I can think of. That's the only thing I can think of. And here's the other thing. I want to make this abundantly clear. Just because he took a photo holding a seltzer, sipping on a little seltzer, does not mean he was just wasted out of his damn mind. That doesn't mean that. It just means he had a little sippy sip. Nothing wrong with that. But we don't know how everybody else was. You see what I'm saying? We can't see how everybody else was handling their liquor on the 4th of July. So again, the classic one. Yeah, the phone grew legs, exactly. Yeah, that's what it did. If it grew damn legs. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, if the argument happened exactly where we're hearing, and we just heard, give me my mother-loving phone back, what the F is wrong with you? And it happened on shore, not on the boat. That would explain why his phone, or that it sparks a question on why is his phone on the boat and not him on the boat as well. So there obviously was some sort of argument, obviously some sort of altercation, and I don't know. Maybe they just said, F this dude, we got to go. And they left. I don't know. But something is rotten in Denmark. I'm just saying. How did the damn phone get on the damn boat without Nolan? I rest my case. So, guys, I got to wrap up the show. I got things to do. I'm going to be back on in a little bit because we do have to talk about the 16 kids situation. Okay. 16 kids situation. Oh, here's the other thing too. You know what? Breathe easy. 444, or 444. You ain't wrong. Here's the thing. There could have been a whole other argument going on that maybe that's not Nolan. You're right. You ain't wrong with that. Hold up. Let me pull that back up. This may not be Nolan over there. That could be somebody else screaming about getting his phone back. That's possible. That's hella possible. But according to Benjamin Crump, the family, they're saying that this is him saying that. Interesting, right? So we'll see. Maybe it's a damn lie. Maybe it truly is him. God only knows. But it is very interesting. You got young kids. They're getting a little, have some libations in them. You also got to remember ego, and testosterone. And there's a lot of females over there too. And they're probably trying to impress the ladies and all that. And you mix all that crap up into two guys in the wrong place at the wrong time. You got fireworks going on, amber waves of, and you got white seltzers or White Claw seltzers going on at the same time, and maybe some other stuff as well. Yeah, you're going to have some people getting a little squirrely. It's possible. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it could be jealous vibes. I mean, from my understanding, he seemed to, the ladies seemed to like him. So that could very well be that people were, the guys were jealous of maybe him getting the attention. He's tall. He's good looking. He's very athletic. It's possible. That kid was tall. Have mercy. I mean, in comparison to his parents, he's towering over his parents, right? So maybe that's what it is, So I don't know. Could be a combination of a multitude of things. But of course, as we get more information, we will talk about it for sure. I definitely will be back in a few hours because there are a few things that I want to talk to you guys about with the 16 Kids Ohio House of Horrors thing. We will be talking about that as well, okay, in a little while. All right, so make sure that notification bell is on so you know when I go live. But that is the show. Foul play or not? It's up to you. Let me know what your thoughts are, okay? Keep the conversation going in the in the comment section down below. I would love to know your thoughts. Okay? Foul play or no? Let me know. Anyway, appreciate you guys for being here. Really means a lot. Hit that like button down below. Crush that reaction button. Don't forget to hit that follow button on all my other social media platforms. Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick. Make sure you are following over there. Subscribe right here on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. All right? Go and subscribe to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there as well. Hit that notification bell on both platforms. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it's random. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, do not forget to check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Go check it out. PascalMerch.com. Anyway, it's time to get going. Much love to you guys. I'll be seeing you guys in a few hours. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show.